In response to the numerous requests from American and Canadian soccer instructors who have attended our soccer lessons in North America, we present this video. We, the authors of this video, Mirko Mazzantini and my colleague Simon Bombardieri, take pleasure in presenting a collection of the most important and effective training exercises that we use in our training sessions as well as in our courses and seminaries. The teaching method that we propose is one that we have used for many years in the youth leagues of the Italian Series A Empoli soccer team. It has contributed to success as well as club players that may be defined as exceptional. In fact, the Empoli soccer team comes from a small Italian city with only 46,000 inhabitants that manages to compete in one of the most difficult National League championships in the world against teams from cities such as Rome, population 5 million, Milan, population 3 million, Turin, Naples, Florence, and other Italian cities which are much larger and of greater economic importance. Empoli soccer has been able to compete because it succeeds in bringing to the Major League many of its best young people trained in its youth league, which has been acclaimed by the FIFA to rank 5th place in Europe and 16th place in the world for soccer technique. These results have been obtained through individual technical instruction, a strategy that is pursued less and less nowadays, even though it produces great soccer players. This is because of the rush that big Italian clubs have in their quest to obtain champions in the shortest possible time. The aim of the exercises shown in the DVD is the improvement of the individual's own skills regarding ball control, while practicing alone or, in some cases, in pairs. All the exercises can be carried out individually with a ball and a wall. In particular, the practice work involves the following skills: dribbling and change of direction, juggling and differentiation, receiving a ground ball. All through the improvement of body movement and the related coordinative skills. It is important to note the play for fun aspect found in all the exercises. These stimulate the will and motivation of the young people during the workout phases that stress the improvement of technique. The player must dribble the ball quickly and with many touches. The player turns around the cone with the inside foot and then with the outside foot. Repeat the exercise with both feet. The exercise improves the touch on the ball and the quickness during change of directions.
Sempre destro. Lui è keniana. Fatti Leo, fatti.
Vai, tira sul collo, dai.
With this exercise, we stimulate the change of directions of 30 degrees and with the objective to dribble with both feet and under condition of quickness. The exercise is repeated with the outside foot. Exercise with the objective to change direction at a 45-degree angle. The exercise stimulates the touch on the ball with frequent change of directions and with complex situation of balance. The player is required to perform the exercise using the inside foot and the outside foot. The player works on the same objective as the previous exercise, but moving in a different pattern. The player is required to change the pace during the diagonal run. The player dribbles in a geometric pattern, developing quick change of directions, typical of game situations. Ask the player to use both feet. The player must dribble, changing direction at 90-degree angles and staying very close to the cones. It is important to stimulate the peripheral vision and constant touch of the ball. The player dribbles in a zigzag pattern with a constant quick touch of the ball, typical of dribbling situations. The player passes the ball to himself and changes directions using a cut with the inside foot. The player stimulates the rotation of the planting foot and quick restarts. The exercise is the same as the previous one, but now the player changes direction with the outside foot. This requires good mobility of the ankle and a correct control of the ball to initiate the next play.
Stringi, Momi. Bravo, Piola. Vai.
Guida e cambia direzione finta over.
Many times we ask the players to perform the moves of the greatest professional players. This stimulates the fantasy and creativity, fundamentals of a good player.
Stop.
Stop. Aspetta, adesso facciamo i dettagli.
Guida e cambia direzione strade intorno ai
A greater contact of the foot with the ball is stimulated by asking the player to turn around cones, pylons, or circles, focusing on dribbling with both feet and with different parts of the foot.
I piedi sempre uno di qua, uno di là.
To improve the fundamental of dribbling, it is important to organize the exercise with cones, requiring the player to move continuously with the ball by quickly touching the ball with different parts of the foot and with quick, frequent steps. In the exercise, the player is required to dribble with 2 touches of the inside of both feet. The first objective is the accuracy in dribbling, along with the circuit combined with an increasing rapidity of the gesture. The next progression is to use only one foot, stimulating the ankle mobility and the continuous movement of the ball with different parts of the foot. The use of the sole of the foot helps to build sensibility and control of the ball. The cones represent the opponent, who must be overtaken with quick and unpredictable movement. The quickness in changing the angle of the foot from inside to outside is typical when dribbling and can be trained in technical situations, combining it with feints.
Corretto, guardatelo voi.
No, se no, bene.
Understanding the change of rhythm is a key element for a young player. Often a quick change of pace is required to break through a tight defense. This can be trained, asking the player to dribble around each cone quickly. Dribbling and rhythm around every second cone, then every 2 cones at higher speed. Dribbling and rhythm around every 3rd cone, then every 3 cones. We finish the progression by varying the distance between the cones, asking the players to perform quick accelerations and decelerations.
Ancora uno.
The shape and weight of the ball requires the player to focus on control and weight of his touch. free juggling with rhythm balls, gym balls. The complexity of the juggling is increased by using smaller balls. The skill to control the impact with the ball is trained with the first simple exercise. The player must juggle with one high touch, alternating it with a low touch.
Sì, sì, ok.
To improve the skill of differentiation, we work on the following progression. A. The player juggles with both feet, trying to keep the ball at a level below his knee height. The player is stimulated to dose the impact with the ball with quick and gentle touches of the ball.
Bene, stop, all'altezza del bacino.
B. The next progression requires the player to keep the ball at a level of his hips. This touch requires more impact with the ball than in the previous exercise.
Andri sta in aria. Bene,
Vai.
stop. There, over there. Alza, guarda là. Dai all'altezza della testa, alta, alta.
C.
To the head.
The next progression requires the ball to be kept at head level. This requires even more impact with the ball, and the level of ball control is high.
Alzi, guardate che siamo di là. Alzi, guarda di là. Dai, alzi, tutti sopra la testa. Bravo. Bravo anche, bravo anche. Bene, rovesciala bene.
We now ask the player to keep the ball above the head and rotate to control the ball on the opposite side. The player first needs to maintain a good rhythm of juggling. Then, with only one touch, he brings the ball to its starting position. The technical difficulty of this exercise is high, as well as the skill to apply the proper weight to the touch of the ball.
Bravo anche. Qui sopra così. Dopo, dopo, dopo. Lascia il pezzo. Dopo, dopo, dopo. Lascia il pezzo. Siamo? Via, ma che è quella mano? Che c'hai? Una spada dietro?
The player juggles the ball with one foot and skips with the other foot. Repeat the exercise with the other foot.
Allarga. Bravi. Troppo caotico. Vai, stop. Adesso 3 alla volta. Compagni, trovate uno che riesca a mantenere l'equilibrio, vai.
The player juggles the ball with one foot and jumps up and down from a block with the other foot. This exercise stimulates the control of the ball in situations of poor balance.
Bravo, bravo. Ci volevi vicino.
Bravo Mario. Bravo Leo.
Vai Angelo, vai, vai.
No, va, buonasera a tutti. Bravo Leo.
Via. Veloce, 1-2 balzi e le riprende. Sempre il palleggio,
The player rolls on the ground and must regain control of the ball before 2 or 3 bounces, depending on the ability of the player. After a predetermined number of juggles, the players can perform some acrobatic exercises and then continue working on control of the ball. The exercises are more motivating if they are presented in a game format.
Adesso si fa la ruota, Via.
The player does a cartwheel and regains control of the ball.
Via. Via.
The player does a somersault. As you can see, these types of exercises work on the basic motor skills of the player.
Via. Bene, stop. Allora adesso. Via. Dai, vedi. Bravo.
The players rotate 360 degrees and then regain control of the ball.
Dai Andrea, guardatela. Via. Bravo Andrea. Dai, dai. Via. Vai Andrea. Matteo, vai a fare. Via. Via. Benissimo, stop, dai.
The player juggles the ball trying to walk along a line.
Via, dai, andiamo. Bene, adesso 2 tocchi dentro.
The rhythm of juggling changes by juggling twice with the right foot and once with the left foot. Encourage players to use this rhythm. The rhythm changes by introducing the control of the ball with different part of the foot. Juggle 3 times with instep, alternating with one inside foot.
Dai, aspetta un po' in alvore e si va a Viareggio, dai, portate con noi.
The change of rhythm is exercised also changing the surface of contact with the ball. For example, the players are asked to juggle with feet, with the thigh, and with the head, but always asking the players to perform predetermined touches. Variation of rhythm can be accomplished by juggling while walking and then running. By introducing obstacles, cones, and other equipment along the course, the player must adapt and change the rhythm at which he juggles.
Metti a posto.
Receiving the ball with inside of the foot, right and left. The player stands inside the square and receives the ball with the inside foot, right and left, and directs the ball outside the square to perform a pass back. Focus on directing the ball outside the square with only one touch. Encourage the player to use his arms and a small jump of the planting foot for better balance. The same exercise is repeated using the outside foot. The starting position of the player receiving the ball this time is outside the square, and he must run into the square to receive the ball. This time the ball will be directed in front of the square. This stimulates a frontal control of a situation of attack of the ball. The player focuses on directing the ball towards the corner of the square. The coach asks the player to control the ball with the left inside foot while opening his body. This time, the player will receive and orient the ball towards the opposite corner using the inside left foot, but assuming a closed body position.
No, devi andare sul finettino.
player receives the ball using the outside of the foot, closing the angle of control. Execute the exercise using both feet. The player focuses on controlling the ball in the air. The player lifts the ball with the inside of the left or right foot and brings the ball to the ground. Encourage the player to be relaxed, to quickly attack the ball after receiving it, and use the arms and a small jump of the planting foot for proper balance.
Vai. Ok.
This exercise is similar to the previous one, but the control of the ball is done using the outside foot. Execute more repetitions using both feet. The player lifts the ball in the air and controls it with the instep. Encourage the player to make contact with the ball high in the air and accompany the ball to the ground. After the ball is on the ground, the player can perform dribbling or feint, situations arising during the course of a game. It is more difficult to control the ball while running. The player throws it in the air and controls it, orienting the ball towards the path of his run. Alternate the exercise using both feet. This type of control is very common during a game. The ball is accompanied to the ground using the sole of the foot. This type of control results in directing the ball towards the path of the player's run and prepares the player for the next technical move. The player lifts the ball and receives the ball with the inside foot while rotating 360 degrees. The exercise requires high degree of balance and joint mobility.
Avanti!
The starting position of the player is with his back to the goal. The player must receive with the inside left foot and direct the ball around the pole and shoot on the goal. Accuracy of control and quickness are important in performing the act.
E che fai? Ma te la butti negli angoli. Bravo, vai.
Ma anche altro si può tirare.
Vabbè. Vai, un attimo. Fai gol, fai gol. Oh, avanti.
This situation is the same as the previous one, but now the player must receive the ball with the outside foot. The presence of the pole possesses a difficulty for the player, but it also helps the player to prepare for the shot on the goal correctly.
Vai.
Ok.
The difficulty of the exercise is increased by receiving the ball while it is in the air. The player must use the inside foot to receive and control the ball. In addition to the technique, the player also works on improving his coordination skill, like the adaptation of time and space, and reading the trajectory of the ball.
Fatto? Via. Aspetta. Bene. Oh.
Gradually increase the level of difficulty. Now the player must receive the ball that is bouncing off the ground.
Calmo, piazza la linea. Non importa una legnata. Fate gol, ragazzi. Ultimo. Brava. Io vai concentrato.
The player, with his back to the goal, receives the ball with his chest before shooting on the goal. Focus on proper use of arms and the position of the feet that will result in a correct rotation of the body.
Bravo.
Non fai questa. La fai io.
Via che c'è l'ultima e due. Su. Su, l'ultima, falla bene. Tranquillo. Va bene. Vai, l'ultimo.
Dai, fatto bene.
Non bene, più profonda questa palla.
Pizzala.
Similar to the last exercise, this time the player receives and controls the ball with his head.
Passare, non devo saltare.
Questo.
Guarda che palla che gli si dà. Su, dagliela più profonda. Troppo alto. Più profonda.
Questa, prendila pure.
Vai.
Bravo.
We hope that this video has provided useful elements to any trainers who, either out of curiosity or interest, might want to turn to our method to improve their own teaching skills. Above all, we wanted to propose the fundamental and most important technical basics for the training of a young soccer player. Given their simplicity and practicality, they are all achievable by any trainer, self-taught player, or in any location, no matter how limited the equipment might be. To the extent that our previous soccer commitments allow us, as authors we are available for any clarifications, additional information, and future participation in courses and seminaries at the headquarters of any soccer club that may request our presence.